Atelier Ryza 3 Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key is Koei, Tecmo and Gust's newest release on the Nintendo Switch, and officially the completion of the Secret Trilogy that began with Atelier Ryza Ever Darkness in the Secret Hideout back in 2019. That lauded release was quickly followed by Atelier Ryza 2 Lost Legends and the Secret Fairy in 2020, and for the first time in the Atelier franchise, the same protagonist remained. This series up until then had mainly followed introducing new leads, but Ryza was a shift in development. Now, 3 years later, Ryza 3 releases not only bringing back Ryza Stout, better known as Ryza, as the lead protagonist, which also expounds on many gameplay aspects which conclude a rather heartwarming story that's taken many turns. If you've never played an Atelier game or either of the two previous titles, there is something of a recap video that you can watch in the start menu, giving you a cursory glance at what took place before the third entry. Mind you, there are some heavy spoilers involved, but that's kind of expected. Story-wise, Ryza is back in Kirkin Islands. Not only are you privy to tons of expositions via flashbacks and callbacks from different conversations with love characters early on, you'll also see a lot of familiar locales that you'll explore pretty much right away. After some digging around, you come across islands popping up out of the ocean called Kark Isles. Not only do they seem strange, but even stranger still, Ryza begins to hear voices calling her to build some different type of keys. This of course kicks her high inquisitive nature into high gear, and off you go. The world you'll be exploring is divided into regions, which there's about 4 of them in total. They all feel distinct and unique in their very own way. As you progress, you obtain more traversal options to obtain access to out of reach areas, something that we saw in previous Ryza games. At the same time, fast travel options are offered to move between the map faster once you reach specific checkpoints. Exploration is kind of a big key to the franchise, and in this game, due to the open world nature of it, it feels even more important than ever before. As you explore the Isles, you'll gain rideable mounts through the land, water, and much more. What's interesting here, and a little bit of a different pace from previous entries, is that you're simply told to go a specific direction, and how you reach it is entirely up to you. The best comparison I could come up with was the boat areas that you got to see in the most recent God of War Ragnarok, where you can paddle your little boat to different isolated islands and do some exploration and of course fighting. Here, it's somewhat similar, with all of the gathering material nodes from previous entries. So this of course entails picking up herbs, rocks, cutting down trees, searching for roots, picking up bugs, mining materials, the works. Everything feels much faster than the second game, and in that regard, it never gets in the way of exploration. Other than of course your bag filling up with too many materials, so you have to fast travel to a previous location, drop them off, and then of course go back to where you were. As you explore and gather materials for crafting, which we'll talk about in a bit, you of course come under attack for all sorts of monsters. Variety here is better than either of the two previous games, and it clearly shows. However, you'll also see many of the previous game's monsters as well. Combat remains relatively unchanged to Ryza 2, which is to say, for those who didn't play any of the previous entries, is very similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake's active time battle, where your characters dish out normal attacks and you build up an AP meter. This lets you use special abilities, which in turn raise the tactics gauge, increasing your max AP. So not only do you gain more attack, but also attack faster, and it lets you bring out characters from the bench to support and do special attacks as well as follow-ups. And naturally, crafted materials, which have limited uses, can be used and equipped freely, so using those really powerful elemental bombs is always a good choice. Supplementing all of this are the aforementioned keys. Not only do they provide passes during combat, they also let you access locked off areas. Lastly, they also play a much bigger role in the story, but I won't be spoiling that here today. Alchemy here remains relatively unchanged for once. One of the biggest criticisms that I had from the previous games was that it felt bloated. I spent most of my time on the crafting page, then pretty much out exploring the world and enjoying the story, specifically in the second game. Here, they reworked the UI and it feels that you can actually get things done and the recipes done a little bit faster, which in turn gives you access to more powerful crafts. Everything starts with a basic recipe of a material you wish to craft. Providing higher quality materials will unlock better or more powerful passives, alongside traits from the craftable items you're being used, which also power up the material loops, and depending on which way on the chart you decide to go, other new powerful recipes will be of course unlocked. Fans of the series will be able to know what to expect, but I can certainly see how newcomers will be a little bit confused with the alchemy as a whole. That's not really much of a surprise. Thankfully, the game does have tutorials to teach you, and the amazing option is still there for the AI to craft for you if you're pretty much brand new here. So if you're looking to craft like a low quality version of a material, you can tell the AI to use just low quality materials, or if you wish to use higher quality materials for better passives, you can also tell it to do that, and it will handle everything for you. Performance on the Nintendo Switch Lite is sadly mixed in my experience. I played the entire game on the Nintendo Switch Lite, so I would like to thank Koei Tecmo for providing me footage that you're seeing here today. Sadly, some of the unfortunate frame drops happen when you're out exploring, and the draw distance is far enough away for you to be able to see a lot of stuff pretty much appear on the map. Also, whenever you're transitioning into combat and there's a lot of enemies appearing on screen all at once, you'll also see some performance issues there. Thankfully, in more active combat moments, they do hold up relatively well, both visually and performance-wise. So most encounters, as you're actually like fighting enemies and doing skills and special abilities, especially ultimate attacks or even combo follow-ups, the game does hold up performance relatively fine, but those transitions are not necessarily all that cleared up. Maybe a patch will be addressing some of these inconsistencies in the future, but hopefully that remains to be seen. Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End, and the Secret Key is a lovely conclusion to the trilogy that not only has made millions discover the Atelier franchise. I believe Atelier Ryza 1 and 2 sold north of 1.6 million copies already, but also made Ryza a staple in the franchise. Taking some bold liberties, map exploration has been fully evolved, and it'll be hard to see them revert back to the segmented areas you saw in previous games. I would wager everything will be open world-ish in nature heading forward. And of course, combat mechanics have also been enhanced, even at the cost of some performance issues at time. Nintendo Sphere gets Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End, and the Secret Key an 8 out of 10. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!